And I feel like every story will help and every story will heal. It's 2 months.
I think too, she was a lot like you, where she had a whole bunch of pieces
Yeah.
laying around that she
Yeah.
was able to, so I don't have that luxury. And so
I
it's
think
all,
no, I see it. I see it. As you're talking, I'm like, all your pieces are all in your head, all of them.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's not
Yeah.
tangible. It's all
Yeah.
going back to what you said. I don't want to lose this thought. You totally just put a light bulb on top of my head because I have journals since 1997.
There you go. See? See, that's what I mean. Like, I'll look at you and I'm like, no, I don't believe you. No, I know that you have. I don't believe you because I know you have everything already. Because if you're like me, like you have shit around you
It's
already.
all I have journals from 1997.
So your book's done. See?
That's crazy.
There you go. There you go. See? That's why I love to see. This is why the weekly conversations is going to be beautiful because I'm making you accountable.
Oh,
And that's actually something I actually thought about to do as a different like career life change is to one part of it is to help people, but also like to make people accountable of their
yeah,
goals and their dreams and everything. Because that's one thing I'm good at is to like, if I have a goal, that shit's getting done
I hear you.
because it's something that has to get out. It's something of a voice or desire that I love. Like once I love it and I love the idea, I have to get it out. I have to do it.
Maya Angelou, and I may post it tomorrow,
And also put it in your book.
and put it in my book. It says there's no deeper agony than an untold story.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Have you heard that one?
Yes.
And it's so
It's
true.
like the dream, like not lived, dream unfulfilled, something like that too.
Yeah.
Something else. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, your journals.
Gosh. And
So
I've talked to my girlfriend before too. Like I've always thought, because I have three boys, like, what do I want to leave behind for them? There's always, when I think about my grandparents, they've passed on. My fortunately, both my mom and my dad are still with me. But it's just like it's not until these people have moved on, you start asking yourself, what was their day-to-day life?
mhm.
What were some of their experiences? What were some of their challenges and their pains? And I think I would love being able to open up a journal that my grandmother wrote, you
Mhm.
know, being
Mhm.
in whatever her spaces were at the time and going through that. And so I want to have them as a compilation for them,
Mhm.
for them to be able to kind of get uh, some insight
Of
about
you.
who their mother was and her accomplishments and her struggles and
Exactly.
the victors and the victorious parts of her struggles and things that she tried to master
Mhm.
that didn't work out the way that she believed that all of that. Like I don't know who they are as they grow up, but I believe that in any story there's always aha moments. And
Mhm.
for them to have that from their mother,
Yeah.
I think that it would be something that could help them as, they move through life.
I love that. And as we close this out here, I don't know if you realize, but that's the format of your book.
Hmm. You're dropping gems, girl.
I, I see it. I don't drop gems that I don't see. Like as you're talking, that's what I see. And I'm getting literal chills now telling you this because that's what you love and that's what you would have loved from those people. So you have to write your format of your book this way because it will just flow out of you because you're not trying to make it a book that has to be something else. Just like your journal, that's what resonates with you and that's what worked for you and for you to get things done. So your book is literally that format that you just said because it's all of you. It's all the pieces of you. It's the pieces of, your grandparents that passed away. It's the pieces of your journal. It's the pieces of the days that you are sad and depressed. Like that's what it was. Today I was sad and depressed. It could be like a diary of you in that kind of format. So it's all going to be a beautiful compilation of it. And it's doesn't have to be so daunting of a task of now I have to write a story. It's going to be like this. It's, no, it's going to be all the pieces of you. So
I love this process.
I think it's going to be beautiful.
This is amazing. It really, really is. Because the idea was there, like I said, but I just saw it as me doing it something for my kids. But
yeah. And then as you say, so yeah, it's funny because you're like, oh, but Sunrise already had it and you have it. I was like, I don't think so, honey. I'm looking at you and I see books and pieces of stories above you as you're talking. And I was like, no, I think you got it.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have to get in that garage and dig out all of those journals.
There you go.
Get it started.
There you go.
Every day, every week is something new.
I love it. So I will see you next week.
Yes, ma'am.
I love you. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Do the same, my dear. Enjoy.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I would do my coffee table book, finish it, launch it, throw a party, Art and Hustle style, on my birthday, March 31st. So you need to mark that on your calendar.
Yay!
Friday, March 31st, I'm going to throw a big
2023?
2023. So I got 3 months. 3 months.
No impossibilities here. No impossibilities.
No, exactly. So whenever your birthday is, when's your birthday?
August 11th.
All right, so August 11th.
That's it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing, Linda.
That's what we're doing. August 11th.
Okay. I'm gonna put it in.
Put it in. August 11th.
August 11th. And so August 11th then is supposed to be my launch. For this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, I'm launching mine in 3 months. I haven't fully. It's in my wall. It's in my calendar of my phone. It's in my Google Docs. So so it's funny. Like even when I did my art show, I literally launched my art show in 1 week. So I'm like, that's what I mean. Like I'm crazy. I mean, you're a Leo and a Tiger, so I know you can do this. I know you can do this.
I have all the fire in me, girl.
Yeah, this is why we're meeting. This is why we're meeting, and I'm gonna, light a fire under your ass. And
yes, please. I need you, Linda. I do.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this every week.
Okay, so I've just put in on August 11th that this launch is gonna happen, and yours is March 31st. Yes.
Mine's March 31st, and we're.
Do you see my cup?
Oh my God, I love it. I love how you're drinking it. You're like,
Yes, ma'am. I have a master plan. I'm thinking of a master plan. And I also thought I would have the journal in hand.
Doubt your doubts, hon. Doubt your doubts. I love it. So welcome to the Art and Hustle Gallery of Conversations. Welcome back, Tam. Week 2. Week 2. And I just want to let people know that we had a beautiful conversation on our first podcast that everybody got a sneak peek yesterday.
Yes.
And I was going to air out the rest of it until my laptop decided to tell me, you've been doing too much work and we need a break and you got to back it up.
And the universe has its subtle ways, and maybe subtle times of letting us know you need to stop.
You need to stop. So I was on the phone with Apple Care. I talked to 3 people, and finally the third person was able to help me. Basically, my computer, I was just doing too much and I didn't back it up and it was just getting a little too full. So I just had to start deleting things and putting it onto a separate hard drive. So everybody, if you're doing a lot of work on your laptop and you don't want it to completely die on you, save a lot of your files on a separate hard drive.
And what he's um, noticed is that you learn a lesson so that
Yeah.
you know what not to do
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, we all have a lesson. So I got to get my cup now.
See, we have to have our matching cups when we do our podcast.
We do. We need to have the matching cups. I love it. I love it. So welcome back here, week 2. And I know I put a little pressure on you the last
You did.
and that people don't know about yet till I
You
air it.
know, things are always, yeah, you know, things are developing, and this is exactly the space that I needed, and I asked for it, and it's here, right? So, with that battery that you put on my back, I shared with you yesterday when we communicated that I actually started writing. And it's so funny. I saw one of the shorts of you and Sunrise, and she was sharing with you what you needed to do to start your process.
Mhm.
And the takeaway that I got from that was, you know, carry your phone when I have a thought,
Mhm.
put it in, right? And start kind of just accumulating different pieces
Yeah.
because it's never going to be wholesome as you're putting it together,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm just learning to kind of take in what's happening as it happens.
Mhm.
It's a revelation that I feel will do justice
Yeah.
to the book, you know, to put it in and just going from there. Another thing that I started doing, I'm dedicating the next 365 days to recording myself for 5 minutes a day and just, you know, putting it out there, no specific topic, making it raw so that I can see what my nuances are and
Mhm.
hear what my, you know, what my vocals sound like, and you know, just doing it,
Yeah.
not looking for an end result, just going with the flow and allowing it to be a part of my routine now.
Wow.
And um, I can't wait for January 1st, 2024 to kind of see, you know, the progression of how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I am so proud of you that you've committed to 365 days.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have literally started the book, right?
yeah.
And I am so proud of you because this is amazing because I came across a random person on Instagram, and she had something like she had a little like reel that I just love the words of it, kind of like how us as mothers project a lot of our, I guess, hopes and dreams onto our kids, and then we're kind of living vicariously through our kids. And I just loved some of her postings. So then I reached out to her, sent her a message, and I was like, oh my God, I would love to have you on my podcast, right?
Thing is that.
And so we linked up for a couple of podcasts. I'm gonna email her again, but she did 100 days that she committed herself to do 100 days of just any videos, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, like
Really?
her. Yeah, so she did 100 days. So I am so proud that you're gonna do 365
Oh,
days.
yes, yes, and yes. You know, 2023, you know, it's really cliche. It's a new year. Yes, yes, all of that is happening. But I do feel that in the space of it transitioning into this new year, things have been showing up,
Mm-hmm.
and you would not believe. Yesterday, I was messaged by one of the guys that I went to high school with.
Mm-hmm.
And he, you know, liked the posting of our snippet that we posted yesterday. And I only saw the part, thanks for sharing. But then when I opened it, the message was like, yeah, of him thanking me, of him letting me know that while I was doing my inspirational posts, that it really helped him during a difficult time. And you know, it just never ceases to amaze me, just who you touch and how these connections are made and how
Yeah.
important it is to, you know, just trust yourself and be willing to open up and be vulnerable so that As Doc Funny says, this allows us or gives us permission to do what we need to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it was so amazing. I connected with one of my other girlfriends. She called me out of the blue, and
Mm,
she was like, send me the link of the podcast of me and Sunrise.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, sure, no problem, sent it to her. She called me back with the fact like, oh my God, you're gonna be rich doing this. I said, okay, I think you're seeing the big, big, big picture, and I don't know that I'm there yet. But she was like, I just needed to hear it at the time that I heard it. If I had, listened to it a month ago, I don't know that it would have resonated because there's some things that I'm experiencing now. And just like little signs and of
Yeah.
confirmation,
Yeah.
to let me know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm in
That
the
you're
right.
on the right path.
And so it's really been good. It's really been good. Still a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah.
I think with us discussing our sexual abuse, it also allowed a space for me to bring up those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming up and it's like, whoa, okay, what just happened there? And I know what's happening, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so you entitled it Hiding to Healing. And so much truth in that. It's just the perfect title for our exchange, I feel.
Yeah. And I'm starting to get a little better with titles because like learning the whole process of a podcast and learning how to do the thumbnails and this and that and titles, like usually I'm not really good with like what to write on the titles or how to do it. So it's still a process. But when I originally just put healing would be like normally the topic I would write. But then I was like, I had to play it with something. I was like, what else can I write to? So I was like, it has to be that. And I was like, oh, that's perfect because
It was perfect.
it's always the transition, the opposite of things, the juxtaposition of things that I
Yeah.
love. So I think I'm going to try to play that more because I always loved that. Like I always love beautiful mess, beautiful oblivion or controlled
Yeah.
chaos and stuff I
Yes.
would use as titles for my art.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love that. I love it.
Perfect. I was like, oh, this is genius.
Yeah. Because originally, one of the things that I had written on one of my podcasts that someone had interviewed me, I did a cover. And originally, I wrote Hiding in Plain Sight. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to change it to Hiding in Pain
Mm.
Sights.
I like that.
Right?
I really like that.
Yeah. And it's funny, like when you saw that little snippet of me and Sunrise talking, she's like, let me give you advice. Like, write it in your phone, write it in this. And I was like, you know what? Funny enough, we say this because we always feel like we never have enough. And when she
Mhm.
suggested that, I was like, well, honestly, I already have a whole notepad in multiple notepads in my phone of all
Yes.
of my stories and comments and quotes. And I already had started a Google Doc of like little stories that I remember. And then I'm going to combo that with like my art. So as I was speaking and telling her that I do have all of these things already, and then I'm like, okay, fine, I'm done. The book is done.
And the book is written.
And I was like, okay, fine, the book. So then like it like was a revelation of like, all right, so nice. Okay, I got it. The book is done.
Yeah.
I just have to collect all the pieces and put it
That's right.
you know?
That's right. Right. Hiding in plain sight.
Mhm.
It's there,
It's all there. And we always feel like it's not
Yeah.
enough because we always feel like we have to be perfect and have all the little things that we need for it to make it beautiful and perfect before we put it out there. And the beautiful thing of it now is that you just have to realize like it doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
It's just your process, it's your journey, and this is where you are now. And this could be like series one, chapter one of a book. It could be literally chapter one of a book that you put out.
And I feel like it's a mixture of perfection and just having it be so big in our mind.
Yeah.
Like it's just so unattainable because we put the biggest picture ever, with what that end result should look like, and not realizing that we're missing the whole beautiful part of it, which is the process and getting to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. It might not happen, within a year. Just allowing yourself to discover and to grow while you're doing it.
Yeah. And the whole
That's
thing is
what
to
makes it
realize
beautiful.
not like you don't need to be perfect. And that's
Right.
hard for us to really fully like embrace and to
Yeah.
just be present when, if we were abused as children, how do you be yourself when you're not accepted as yourself and you're stifled and you have to be quiet and your voice has to be like, stifled, where everything's a secret. So, like me, like I'm just coming into my skin. I am 46, and 40s is going to be my freedom.
I agree. I agree. I think I watched something where the gentleman shared that shame only um, grows in darkness,
Mm-hmm.
only has power in darkness. And so once we start to put voice to it, once we allow that light to shine on it,
Yeah.
for it to be a part of whatever, it really takes that power away.
Yeah.
No different than, having one conversation at a time.
Yep.
It takes the power of whatever it has had over you,
Mm-hmm.
because now you're like you're neck and neck with it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I know that you're here, but I'm here too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to have to learn how to do this thing together.
Exactly, exactly. And you committing to 365 days with just videos and putting it out there, like it's going to be a beautiful process, because as I was editing my 100, I went back to my original ones and tried to clip little ones. And then as I was like going through them, and then I'm like, and then I'm start picking apart, like, oh my God, I can't believe I left that in. I can't believe I left that in. I'm like, wow, like I am shocked that I put some stuff out there that to me now is not good.
Right.
Like to me now, like I'm shocked I actually left all of that in and put it
Yeah.
out there. But that's the thing. Like when I was convincing Sunrise to do her podcast, I was like, listen, I did it in my bedroom. That's where I was comfortable doing and
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
like that's where I was doing my work. That's where I had my laptop set up, like in a corner of my bedroom. So I was like, I put it out there. I put up a podcast that was in my bedroom, and every other podcast that I had where literally I'm sweating to death. I need a glass of wine. You can see me glistening. I was like, like me being vulnerable, showing you everybody, the world, my process, my story, and just like you sharing your story, well, it's going to do that effect where it's giving people the permission to be themselves, and then they're going to open up their stories and they're going to reach out to you of like, oh my God, thank you for sharing that, so here's what I'm going through as well.
Right. Right. I mean, it's that word, vulnerability.
Brene Brown.
Vulnerability. Having the courage to just put it out there, you know? Being is just that, with the ugly, with what we deem to be beautiful. It's all a montage of who we are.
Exactly, exactly. And that's how I became like the artist I am more today, where I love collages because I love ripping out images, putting it back together, adding dimensional things. And I always do three types of art, because now I realize like there's three types of my personality that always has to come out in art instead of just one. You know how artists, they say like they have like certain periods where they're doing the same thing. Funny enough, like for me, like I just came into like, I'm always doing three types of art all at the same time. Like if I have to do one, I have to do another one to cleanse my palette, and then I have to do another for creativity and another. So all of it has to come out all at the same time for me to feel like I'm working with all those parts.
What are the three types?
One is like a modern day Jackson Pollock, and another one is more of collaging of like images and tearing it up, putting back together, and words. I love quotes. And then the other one is more of a complete abstract of like dimensional and colors.
Okay.
So it'll be like just really, really like you could feel it, you can touch it. There'll be beads, there's, all kinds of things like that.
And with you saying that and me looking at the journal, I can pick up on it,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
In fact, when I look at it, it looks like it's almost 3D.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
okay, it's
Yeah.
coming out at you.
Yeah, there's like there will be beads, there'll be tissue, there'll be paper, and then it'll be like buckling up and stuff like that. And then I love to like get the spray paint and have it dripping. So it's literally like my soul on canvas, like as I'm doing it, because it's just coming from feelings, and it's like the material tells me what it wants to do as I'm doing it.
Okay. And I mean, I can see it. You can see it in the art.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely inspirational. That's why I thought it necessary to bring.
Yes, I love it. I thank you so much for buying our Doc Sun and Art and Hustle collab.
Oh my God, people, you have to get one. You have to get one.
I think that one I called Rebirth.
Ah,
I think that one's Rebirth.
the art itself?
Yeah, yeah. And that was from my first art show that I literally put myself out there and put all of my work that I had done during the time that my mom had passed away, was when I fully delved back into like, it was like a grieving process, but it was like, okay, Linda, you got to get back to your art, back to
Mhm.
your art. And that's when I found more of my voice of my art,
Mhm.
because being an artist, like I was kind of, like being a good girl, I kind of was like going with the flow. I would do all kinds of art that was like pretty, but also emotional and angry. But I was like, it wasn't fully, like I fully didn't embrace it as my art, my voice until that point. So all of those pieces are more of that's me, that's Linda. And that was my voice. Because it's hard to figure out, like you're growing up, it's kind of like finding your voice. So like my voice
Yeah,
is like hard to find my art as my voice too.
and it's the journey
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to fully embrace what you, because it's through that research, it's through the trial and error that you're like, okay, yeah, this works for me, maybe not this right
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and just enjoying that.
And it's the struggles. Like we also have to embrace the struggles that we go through, because had my mom not died, I would not be rebirthed.
Mhm.
Had I not gone through all of those trials and tribulations and shit from childhood, we wouldn't be the empathetic, compassionate person we are now, and the amazing people that we are going to be developing in the next year.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, everything, everything happens for a reason. I'm just yesterday I was watching the podcast that I did with Sunrise, and one of the things that came up was, I believe that we, our beings, invite the experiences that we have, and there's a higher power that works for us even when we're not conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when these things happen, good, bad, or indifferent, it's a leveling up that's meant to take place. When we spoke the last time, you're like, when these things come, it's like it's a red flag for us to notice why is this feeling coming up?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it really coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And for us to really allow ourselves to be in tune
Yeah.
with those feelings, and get out of the survival mode, and projecting it on whatever the details of the situation may be, and looking at it what it is, so that you can just go through the motions of what needs to be relinquished.
Yeah.
I think when we spoke last week too, what came up for me was, I don't know that I've had a grieving process.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why I was looking at you and watching, like, just like Sunrise, like when I start talking to people, things will pop up and revelations will pop up as I'm talking to you, of like, you haven't grieved and you haven't mourned, you haven't
Yeah,
sat in that pain because you weren't able to. For you to survive in the world and be a successful dean and educator, you had to push that away to not deal with it, because you have a life and you have to live, you have the children, and you have to do all these things, you have to
yeah,
be a functional adult. So for you to go into that would probably tear you apart. So for us to survive, we just had to just ignore all of that.
yeah. You're like a robot, and such a long way in terms of self development, and honing into my meditation process and my prayer in the morning. And I'm so proud of that routine. But I, at the same time, I don't want to get stuck. Like, okay, I have a routine, and kind of miss out on the levels of healing
Mm-hmm.
that needs to take. I've had conversations with select few of my close friends around what has happened and
Mhm.
working towards it, but no real, like, this shit was fucked up and
Mhm.
I need to be able to let that go.
Yeah.
And I don't want to harbor that in my cells and in my my what's happening on the inside, because it starts to manifest in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
It comes up and oh,
Uh-oh.
I'm just allowing it to, if I need to scream, I'll scream. You
Mhm.
know, if I need to take a walk, I'll take a walk. If I need to shut down from a conversation just for the sake of allowing my brain to wrap itself around, you know, um, kind of fleshing out what's happening, you do what needs to be done
Mhm.
so that you allow yourself to get it out. I was having a conversation with my boyfriend last night, and I was like, this stuff is in me, and it needs to come out.
Yeah.
So it may look really ugly. It may not be that, you know, a scene that you want to be a part of,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the reality of what needs to
Yeah.
happen. And I'm hoping you can understand, because I'm not holding these things back anymore.
Yeah.
I've always felt like there's something in the core of me that still holds back.
Yes. I mean, I can see it as I'm listening to you and watching you and talking to you.
Yeah.
I see it. You need like a giant, well, like one thing that you said to me that I realized was that when you said during this time of the pandemic, you were starting to have anxiety attacks. And I was like, that's your body needing to release some of the shit that you're holding in, because had you not felt any of those emotions as you're talking about it, just like me as a child, probably, where I didn't, when I would say it, it was just matter of fact. And I told you, like the past 2 years, I literally, all I've been doing is crying, grieving, and just everything on TV makes me hysterical crying. And I never was that much of an emotional person because, like you said, like we just turn into like robots and we just go through life. But now everything makes me cry. So, like anything I watch, anything conversation I have, it'll just touch a core and I'll just start crying. So, letting it all out just is so freeing eventually. It takes a while. It took me a year to finally give it less power. So it's going to be beautiful for you to see it and document it because, you know, kind of like our memory, we're disconnected. You don't remember a lot of things. So to have it on these podcasts is great because now you can see your growth as, from day one to week 2 to week 3,
For sure. I don't know. I tend to overthink at times, and though I'm better at it, it happens. And even this morning, I had to talk myself down. Like, what are you
Mhm.
gonna say? What are you gonna talk about? Like, girl, just have a conversation.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, bring your tea, bring your coffee, whatever. It's like,
yeah,
let's have a drink and let's just chat. Like, I love
yeah.
the flow of it.
Yeah, and I think it's just me allowing myself to realize, like, yo, these voices are gonna come. Like the doubt your doubts. That saying is there for a reason.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't stop it from happening. It's
Yeah.
so that we have a reference to connect to remind us, to kind of bring us back. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
You're having a doubt. It doesn't mean that it's truth. You
Yeah.
know.
But the beautiful thing about having these doubts is it, it allows everybody who's watching to realize we're human. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna watch this of like, wow, they're being super vulnerable. Oh, okay. Like I don't have to be perfect either, and I can just let my conversations, whatever I'm thinking, it's what I'm thinking, but it doesn't have to fully control us anymore. And everyone needs to realize like we're all human, and these things are gonna pop in, and it's the process of learning and healing.
Yeah. Yep. And just going with it.
Hmm.
And kind of just watching it for what it is and letting it be,
Yeah.
giving it space, because everything deserves its
So
space.
what did your boyfriend say when you told him, listen, I'm going to be going through all of this and there's a lot of things going to be coming up? Is he supportive? And
He's supportive. I feel like, though, what a part of our discussion was about, that he's going through some things as well.
mhm,
So that there's healing that needs to take place on both our parts. And it becomes challenging because, there may be something that I'm looking for in him as a partner that, not that he's unwilling, but maybe at the time and just incapable because he doesn't have the tools or the resources.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think what we're learning to do is to openly have these conversations without it being a fight per se,
Mm-hmm.
just so that we can acknowledge, the struggles that we both have
Mm-hmm.
and kind of find a medium so that we can also support each other. But it's challenging.
It's very challenging. It's a very challenging because as you evolve, you're not going to be the same person. And as he evolves, and like literally, we are all changing every single day. So, like, when you're with a partner, you kind of have to like figure out, like, okay, you're turning into somebody else and you're evolving. Okay, so how do we change together now and
Okay.
realize you're not the same person you were before? Because I used to be super nice, quiet, and I would never really vocalize really my wants and needs of anything. So as I was changing, people would start hearing my voice and hearing my opinions of, no, I don't want to do that. No, I like this. I want to do this. And people were like, wow, Linda, you're turning into a bitch. And I'm like, well,
Oh,
really, I'm not turning into a bitch. You just never really heard my voice and my opinions of I wanted things. I would just go along with the flow and let you have your way, literally. I would let everybody take the lead and I would let everybody, oh, you want to go eat this? Okay. Oh, you want to go do this? All right. So when I started vocalizing, people were just like taken aback of like, wow, like I've never haven't seen this side of Linda. Well, I was like,
right.
literally, you haven't really known me because I've kind of just went with the flow. I was hiding myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And I find, every day I feel like it's a new space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning new things and, taking what makes sense and kind of allowing myself to let go of what no longer serves, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for us, it's just building that communication and learning each other's languages
Mm-hmm.
so that we can be fully immersed in how we approach the support for one another.
Yeah.
Because I might be doing something that I think is supportive, but that's not the language that you pick up on.
Yeah, it's like a love language. Like,
That's
what's your
not
love
language.
language? How do you receive love? What, do
Right,
you like presents? Do you like words? Do you like
right.
time together?
Want to touch? Are you the touchy feely type of person?
Mm-hmm.
Or those types of things, and just becoming reacquainted with one another. Because again, things are coming up that are happening that didn't happen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so just allowing for there to be a space where growth can happen
Yeah.
without it being a place of judgment, but more, I think, of a curiosity.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I have to learn. Like I have to learn to ask questions before I jump into whatever narrative that's created based
Yeah.
on what I see. Because I'm quick to attach a story.
Me too.
Like, well,
Instantly.
must have said because this is what he meant.
Yeah.
But instead of just formulating that story, asking a question, and I haven't been really good at that.
No, that's really hard for me too, because protecting ourselves instantly if someone does something, you're like, well, why did you do that? You did it because you don't care about me. You did it because you didn't think about me and you disregarded me, or I'm not enough and you didn't take time. Like it's
All of it.
instantly like feeling like that child that was, neglected and abused instantly.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Like you I'm going to be completely vulnerable right now.
Mhm.
It's like you want to have the support that you didn't get,
Yep.
right? And so if I'm in pain and I'm hurting about something that is clearly not even you know, what it is.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the pain that I need for you to acknowledge. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that you're hurting, or even though it has nothing to do with what you're connecting it to, but I feel your pain.
Yeah.
You know, I think is something that that would help me in
Mm-hmm.
kind of making that crossover, because our brains are wired in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so um, it's just like, you know, you have a child who's misbehaved. By screaming at the kid or telling the kid that, you know, that she's not supposed to be doing that, that doesn't help. You know, I've been as an educator, I had to learn, like, you can't fight fire with fire. You don't go to a screaming child screaming thinking that there's going to be resolve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that empathy, you know, it's that compassion that I think I seek. And sometimes I don't always see the other side because
Mm-hmm.
it's tunnel vision with what my need is in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, so just trying to get through those conversations is
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by it being challenging.
Yeah.
And able not only to voice how I'm feeling, but to be able to receive what's happening on the other side too. Like, not forgetting this, like there's this whole other human, there's this whole other soul.
Yeah.
That's for me that I need to be able to support in the same way that I'm looking to be supported.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of time and patience, because if you are in pain, the first thing you want to do is just get rid of this pain. You know, like one of the funny things I came up with in one of my podcasts with Sunrise is that telling her, I was like, I was realizing like I was outsourcing my trauma.
Mm.
Then I was like, oh my God, that sounds great. Let me write it down. Like you're out, like you're outsourcing your trauma, because like when you're in such pain, you actually go unconscious and kind of just do whatever it is of a need to get rid of that pain.
Yeah.
And it could be alcohol, it could be sex, it could be like going out with friends or eating too much, like whatever addiction it is that people start, accumulating, is to get rid of that pain as quickly as possible, because your body is in fight or flight. Just like it's not a saber-tooth tiger that's attacking you, but it feels the same way. Like your body doesn't know the difference.
Just want to go numb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want to feel, you don't want to accept that this pain is setting in, you know. It for me it causes anxiety, because it's like, oh no, you know, I can't be in this mode again, because I know how difficult it is to get back,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And so it's just like this vicious cycle. And if you're not calling it out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everybody heals differently.
Yeah.
Like, my healing process is not going to look like your healing process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just have to give it the space that it needs, and
Yeah.
not be afraid of what the outcome is going to be. Because, you know, I was that kid too, that it's better not to say anything. I mean, when I was that kid, I'm that adult. It's better not to, ask a question. You know, let me see what this is happening first, you
Yeah, like
know.
you want to be safe before you say something and not be attacked for it being wrong or being sounding stupid or ashamed or embarrassed.
So true, you know, that shame is a killer, you know. It just stumps your growth, literally,
Yeah.
because you're unwilling to take risks, and that's what this is about. That's a part of being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting it out there, and, oh, okay, well, didn't go as planned, but hey, at least I did it.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, I should have never, and you're knocking yourself on the head. Like, you know, this, I should have listened to my first one. I should have never done the podcast. I should have, you know,
Yeah.
that type of self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna happen. It's just, again, giving yourself the room to use the tools that you've accumulated, so that you can start to apply it.
Yeah.
Because you know, and you can read, and you can pray, and you can meditate, right? But until you start putting it to work and applying it,
You got to practice it.
Just sits there.
Just practice. It's like a habit, like whatever you need to do, you just have to make it, change the habit of it, just practice it. And it's like a baby. A baby can't walk, can't talk, can't do any of these things, but you're not like, yelling at the baby like, oh, you can't walk it, like what's wrong with you? Like you
Right.
have to realize like
Right.
each step, each muscle, it's got to build, and it's going to take a while, and it's not going to look pretty. And you just have to sit through it. You just got to sit through it.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself too, like this is like 48 years of wiring.
Yes. It's the unconscious. So there's a podcast I have to send you. I have to send you all the fun ones that I love. But there's this CEO of like Google X, and he was like super like smart and had, he was basically like so rich from everything that he was doing. He had the wife, he had the kids, and traveling from Egypt to New York and growing up in both, places. And he was clinically depressed. Like he realized like none of that makes you happy. None of it makes you happy. And like literally, we are in like the programming that you got as a child from the abuse and whatever age it is that you're stuck at, like that's the autopilot programming of your subconscious that literally takes over when you get into those triggered moments. You unconsciously go right back to that.
Yep.
You're reacting from that state. So you're unconscious. Literally, most people are unconscious majority of their life and just going through the motions of everything and just being a robot and doing everything that everybody says, so you're not connected to your mind and body.
Right. I believe that we show up with 90% of what happens in our subconscious.
Yes.
So I could literally be in front of a mirror every day. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. But if I'm not doing the work that a person who loves themselves does for themselves, is just words that you're saying in the mirror. And that's what I meant about the application. It's great to know, right? But it's the rewards happen in the applying.
Yeah, and you have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. So you doing the 365 days is going to push you into the uncomfortable, and just keep doing it every single day. You're like, listen, it's day 5.
Yeah.
Like shit, and I don't want to do this. Click. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, leave it like that. Like, you don't feel good. I'm not doing this today. So bye, guys.
I spoke to I tell you about my girlfriend. Her name is Regine, by the way. You'll probably hear her name a lot. She's definitely my soundboard. And as soon as we finished our podcast, so I called her and I was like, I did it, and this is what came out of it. And she put the battery in my back with getting my book written. And she was like, girl, do you remember a year and a half ago when you said that you were going to write your book? I sent you $25 to your Cash App because I'm waiting for the book. Like I'm paid up.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, but great. You're in this space right now, but what are you doing to make it happen? She was like, because it's not going to happen without a plan. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got a plan.
Yeah, you need a plan, because every week we come on, I'm gonna want to know like how many pages have you done.
And she herself has an inspirational story. We've known each other since we've been about 9. We lived in the same building and went to high school together, and we've just maintained our friendship over the years. Best girlfriend ever. And I remember from high school, she would share that she wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to be a doctor, but it's just too long. I can't go, I want to be a medical doctor, but it just takes too long. Fast forward, she becomes this amazing, amazing massage therapist. And if you can believe it or not, at 43, she sent herself back to medical school.
I love it.
She's currently in her rotations. So she's actually in the hospitals trying to figure out what field she wants to go into. And so this is a woman who went away. She was in Grenada in the beginning of her medical schooling. And because of the pandemic, it brought her back in, and she finished it off online and things of that sort. And she was sharing with me, she was like, listen, I flunked a whole semester flunked a whole semester. I was ready to give up, just throw in the towel and just say, forget everything. Like, I'm too old for this. I need to get back home. I'm in a country that, away from my family. It just became really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
But what came out of it is that she was able to get a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And the mentor, I'm not sure what the names of this type of studying is called,
Mm-hmm.
but he helped her in showing her how to study. And I think, they do it in different increments where you'll study for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break, or you'll study for an hour where you're on for 45 minutes and off for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
For like 12-hour blocks, 15-hour blocks, 18-hour blocks, whatever it is that you're committing yourself to. So with her sharing that with me, she was like, yeah, you got to figure out like at what point during the day you're going to just say, bitch, you need to show up for yourself. Go
Mm-hmm.
to the computer, whatever it is, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Just know that it's in stone and you just need to show up, even if the muse doesn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said that as a massage therapist, she meets with people in all sorts of life. And what they would share with her is that, the muse doesn't always show up, but when it comes, it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it though is making sure that you show up whether or not.
Yes.
So just hearing all of this and kind of just, placing myself in a position where I can start to take heed, and not only take heed, but apply, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I went into Google, I started to look up calendars, hourly calendars. And I found one that I really liked, like on the right side border, it asks you to put in your 3 tasks. It has a space where you can put in your to-do list,
Mm-hmm.
notes that whatever notes that you want to write for yourself, but every hour on the hour. And I did that during vacation.
I love it.
Girl, you just have too much downtime. You need to do something with yourself.
That is beautiful.
My God. So then I was like, wait a minute, but I wish I could find this and just put it in a book. And then the next thought came, and it was like, well, I love my words of inspiration. I love my Bible quotes, and I love a song that speaks to whatever emotion that I may be feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I said, well, if I was to create a journal, maybe I can have that page with the quotes to start the day, the for procrastinators like me, the calendar on the back so that you can start kind of slating out what you want your day to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of line pages so that you can journal whatever the experience is for the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can put something like that together. I'm sure that there are people out there like me
Yes.
who have a hard time pacing themselves.
Yep.
Right. And so all of these ideas are just, I call it the download. The universe is sending me a download because it's just so many different ideas that are sparking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just loving this space.
I love that because like I did the same thing where I started writing down what I was doing during a day, and you just realize how much time you just waste. Like either on your phone, doing some crap on TV, or just sitting around like it's like what did I do today? Like what did I accomplish?
Seriously.
You know? Like what did I
Seriously.
accomplish today? Like I need to know that I accomplished something today.
Yeah.
What is that? Otherwise just doing whatever.
I called her, I was like, Regine, I do absolutely nothing all day. Want this different life. And it's just like reality in black and white that says, okay, this is your day, then this is just know that what the outcome is of a day that looks like this.
Yeah.
And holding myself to it.
Being
And
accountable.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
being accountable. So, I shared it with one of my other girlfriends, and she was like, that I'm such a procrastinator. I would buy it, those types of things.
Mhm.
Just having people around you who are encouragers,
Yeah.
who can support you and your ideas, and just be there as a soundboard, as somebody who can just kind of listen, because, we need that.
Yeah, you do. And the beautiful thing about that is like when you have certain people, like now that we've decided, okay, we're going to do this every week. So I'm making you accountable because now
Yeah.
it's public live that we've said this and it's going
Yeah.
out. People are going to be like,
Yes.
people are going to be on you,
It's so
right?
true.
They're gonna that this is why it's fun. This is why it's fun because now that I've made myself accountable on it, I'm like, well, Tam, do you want to be what about you? Do you want to do this? Because we're gonna put it out there. So once you're accountable and then it goes live and goes out there, now it's also like, oh well, I have to make sure I get this deadline done because now I've set
Right.
it. So let's do it. Before like anything is doable. Like I did my
Yeah.
first art show in 1 week, and now I'm gonna do my book in 2 months. That
It's done already. What do you mean? You're
I
gonna
know.
piece it together
That's
and
true. It's done. It's done. It's done.
speak it and put it out there,
I
you
was
know?
talking to my girlfriend and she is writing her book, and it was funny because she's literally rewritten this book for the past over 20 years. 20 years. So she was talking to me again last night. And so I did the same thing to her. I'm like, so what's your deadline?
Right.
And she said,
Really.
so she gave herself the deadline already. She said she's gonna get it done by the end of January. I was like, oh, that's perfect then. I was like, okay, great. I was like, you really have no excuse. You've been doing this for over 20 years. And she said she was stuck because she's had 3 iterations of this children's book, right? And one of them was like a poetry version of it. And I was like, you know what? I love the idea of the poetry version of it. And she gave it to someone to proofread it and give feedback. And the person said they love it, but it's a little too long. And then there was some things in it that wasn't working, like it rhymes. So she said that the person said like some of the rhymes don't work. And I was like, well, why don't you just take out what doesn't work, shorten the book, make it bigger, give it more space, and you're done. She's like, oh, I didn't think of that. I'm like, you're done. Just like me,
Overthink-
like my thing is done. I just have to edit
It's
it.
overthinking, overthinking,
Mm-hmm.
overthinking.
Yeah,
And
because we want to be
sometimes,
perfect. We want to be perfect before we put ourselves out there.
yeah, it's like you need that friend that's gonna push you out onto the stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm pushing you. Go,
Just
Tam.
go,
Tam's time.
you
It's Tam's
know, and
time. It's
whatever
time for Tam to get out.
whatever comes out, comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that it was done. And then, the next day, I tell you, when I talked about it with the girls 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, it was just like, yeah, and then just day by day, it
Mm-hmm.
just lost the momentum, or I lost the momentum. And it just became this thing that, just like we were discussing earlier, it just felt so big, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
it felt so big.
Because you
But then
want
when
it to
we,
be perfect.
yeah,
So you
it
want
was,
to keep talking about it, keep thinking about it, keep like,
yeah.
oh no, just do it.
Yeah, and now it's just like, just with the conversations that we've had, and that I've had with some of the girlfriends, it's just like, okay, um putting the steps there for myself. This journal part of it really gave me, because it was just like, okay, when something comes to mind, I'll put it down. But dedicating myself to sitting at a desk, to put something on paper, it's a
Mhm.
different level of dedication.
Yeah. And then slotting the time and realizing how much time you wasted and didn't accomplish anything. Because literally, we all have the same amount of time. So when people say, I didn't have enough time, or I'm sorry, I didn't call you because I didn't have enough time. No, you didn't want to make the
That's
time to
right.
do it because
That's
we have
right.
all the same time. If you don't do it, it's because you didn't want to do it,
That's right.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Because I watch folks like Oprah, and I was like, she must have a 35-hour day. Because there's just no way that this woman can accomplish the things that she does
Mm-hmm.
within the 24 hours that I have as well. So
Mm-hmm.
when you see that it's doable, you have to kind of zero back in on you,
Yeah.
and how you're approaching the whole situation. What is priority?
Yeah.
What is the most important thing for you? And if you're saying that this is important, it should reflect it in what you're doing in your daily,
Yeah, exactly. And you got to work backwards. All right, my deadline is, August 11th. So how much time do I need to publish it? How much time do I need? Break it down backwards then. How much time do I need to publish it, print it? How much time do I need to proof it, send it out to people? And how much time do I need to write it? Literally, you can write it in 2 months. Take another 2 months to send it out to people, have them proof it. Another 2 months, have somebody have it published. So that's 2, 4, 6. That's 6 months.
That's it.
You're done.
That's it.
So 2 months. So literally in 2 months, technically, slot your days. 2 months, you can be done with it. Because I think sunrise 2 months.
I think too, she was a lot like you, where she had a whole bunch of pieces
Yeah,
laying around that she
yeah.
was able to, so I don't have that luxury. And so
I
it's
think all the
all
no, I see it. I see it as you're talking. I'm like, all your pieces are all in your head, all of them.
it's yeah, that's what I mean. It's not
Yeah,
tangible. It's all
yeah,
here for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
That's why that dedicating this time,
yeah.
5 minutes from me speaking on a video, an hour at my computer
Mhm.
on a daily basis,
Yeah.
you
Or
know,
even,
all
yeah, like exactly. Like on your journal, just write a story down. But do your timeline. I think your timeline is your book.
mm,
That's it. Like that way your brain is not worried about I have to write a book.
okay.
Just do your timeline because your timeline will unfold and show you the entire book. Your timeline is like, okay, I was grew up here, this has happened, this happened, this. So that is your book and your timeline of it, because once you have the little bits and pieces of your timeline, then you can take the ones you need and whatever you want and then assemble it. Because technically your book could be your journal. How you see your journal, that's how I was able to break down my book, because it was a daunting task of how am I going to write this book in the regular format of a book. But then I was like, you know what, that's not me. I'm an artist. Like I love collaging things together. So like for you, you were able to start writing and slotting time because you like breaking it down into three pieces, right? Of like God to inspirational quotes and then to-do lists. So technically your book could be three versions of you, from timeline to God to other things.
Right.
Today's 2 months.
I think too, she was a lot like you, where she had a whole bunch of pieces
Yeah.
laying around that she
Yeah.
was able to, so I don't have that luxury. And so
I
it's
think all the
all
no, I see it. I see it as you're talking. I'm like, all your pieces are all in your head, all of them.
it's yeah, that's what I mean. It's not
Yeah.
tangible. It's all
Yeah.
going back to what you said. I don't want to lose this thought. You totally just put a light bulb on top of my head, because I have journaled since 1997.
There you go. See, that's what I mean. Like I'll look at you and I'm like, no, I don't believe you. No, I know that you have I don't believe you because I know you have everything already. Because if you're like me, like you have shit around you
It's
already.
all I have journals from 1997.
So your book's done. See?
That's crazy.
There you go. There you go. See? That's why I love to see. This is why the weekly conversations is going to be beautiful, because I'm making you accountable.
Oh,
And that's actually something I actually thought about to do as a different like career life change, is to one part of it is to help people, but also like to make people accountable of their
yeah,
goals and their dreams and everything. Because that's one thing I'm good at, is to like, if I have a goal, that shit's getting done,
I hear you.
because it's something that has to get out. It's something of a voice or desire that I love. Like once I love it and I love the idea, I have to get it out. I have to do it.
Maya Angelou, and I may post it tomorrow,
And also put it in your book.
and put it in my book. It says there's no deeper agony than an untold story.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Have you heard that one?
Yes.
And it's so
It's
true.
like the dream, like not lived, dream unfulfilled, something like that too.
Yeah.
Something else. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, your journals.
Gosh. And
So
I've talked to my girlfriend before too. Like, I've always thought, because I have three boys, like, what do I want to leave behind for them? There's always, when I think about my grandparents, they've passed on. My fortunately, both my mom and my dad are still with me. But it's just like, it's not until these people have moved on, you start asking yourself, what was their day-to-day life?
mhm.
What were some of their experiences? What were some of their challenges and their pains? And I think I would love being able to open up a journal that my grandmother wrote, you
Mhm.
know, being
Mhm.
in whatever her spaces were at the time and going through that. And so I want to have them as a compilation for them,
Mm-hmm.
for them to be able to kind of get uh, some insight
Of
about
you.
who their mother was and her accomplishments and her struggles and
Exactly.
the victors and the victorious parts of her struggles and things that she tried to master
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work out the way that she believed that all of that. Like I don't know who they are as they grow up, but I believe that, in any story, there's always aha moments. And
Mm-hmm.
for them to have that from their mother,
Yeah.
I think that it would be something that could help them as, they move through life.
I love that. And as we close this out here, I don't know if you realize, but that's the format of your book.
Hmm. You're dropping gems, girl.
I, I see it. I don't drop gems that I don't see. Like as you're talking, that's what I see. And I'm getting literal chills now telling you this because that's what you love and that's what you would have loved from those people. So you have to write your format of your book this way because it will just flow out of you because you're not trying to make it a book that has to be something else. Just like your journal, that's what resonates with you and that's what worked for you and for you to get things done. So your book is literally that format that you just said because it's all of you. It's all the pieces of you. It's the pieces of your grandparents that passed away. It's the pieces of your journal. It's the pieces of the days that you are sad and depressed. Like that's what it was today. I was sad and depressed. It could be like a diary of you
Yeah.
in that kind of format.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be a beautiful compilation of it. And it's doesn't have to be so daunting of a task of now I have to write a story. It's going to be like this. It's no, it's going to be all the pieces of you. So
I love this
I think
process.
I think it's going to be beautiful.
This is amazing. It really, really is.
I love it.
Because the idea was there, like I said, but I just saw it as me doing it something for my kids. But
Yeah. And then as you say, so yeah, it's funny because you're like, oh, but Sunrise already had it and you have it. I was like, I don't think so, honey. I'm looking at you and I see books and pieces of stories above you as you're talking. And I was like, no, I think you got it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so now I have to get in that garage and dig out all of those journals
There you
and
go.
get it started.
There you go. I
Every
love
day, every week is something new.
I love it. So I will see you next week.
Yes, ma'am.
I love you. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Do the same, my dear. Enjoy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Like finally getting back to me, my art. All I want to do is art. And the other thing is that I love stories. So like to me, art isn't everything. Your art is your voice, your speaking, your connection. You can feel everyone's energy. That's your art. It's the art of living to me. So art and hustle to me is the art of living and art of it and everything.
I hope that you've cut that piece right there and make it your intro and your outro because that was done. Hey, but before we round out, let's let everybody know about our inspirational journal.
Yay.
So excited. It's a great holiday gift. So make sure you go grab one. The link will be at the bottom of the screen. And, don't just get one for yourself, get one for a loved one and start 2023 like making big dreams, big goals, or even heal, because we like to call them our healing and inspirational journals.
Yes.
So
Thinking of your master plan, that was the first one we did. So everybody
yeah.
like, subscribe, comment below, and we're going to leave that link to our collab so that we're so excited about. And then there's going to be mugs too that we're going to put out.
Yes, grab your mugs.
Yep.
Grab your mugs.
So
next time you watch, they can drink out of their mug and they can write notes in their journal.
Exactly. I love it.
My guest.
I am LindaLCheung. I am kind of a jack of all trades. I do a little bit of fashion design, graphic design. I'm a multimedia artist. I'm a single mom of 2 kids, divorced, and I'm, the founder and owner of ArtandHustle. And I've curated some art shows. Now I've gone into the podcasting world where I want to talk about the art of living. And I feel like every story will help and every story will heal. And that's how me and Sunrise got connected, where I saw you on Facebook and I was like, I love your energy.
She did.
And, if you would be so kind to join me on my podcast. And this is how it's all evolved now. Now we do our weekly inspiring conversations. So I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I know, we're like cross-pollinating. Yay!
Yep. I mean, I love it because you have written your book and I was doing the podcast. And so since we connected, I was like, Sunrise, you got to do your podcast. I'm like, just do it. Just jump in. Right.
Yes. So for those who don't know, yes, I had this idea and it was stewing, and I may have recorded one thing during the pandemic. And then when I connected with Linda was like, just do it.
Do it.
Those are her exact words. She was like, just do it. She said, stop thinking about it. Stop overthinking it. She said, just press record and just do it. And so that first episode that everyone loves with Tenora from season 1, that would have never happened had it not been for my girl, Linda. So I'm so glad that she is on my side of the podcast to share her journey, mainly because everyone knows I do this show because I want people to feel comfortable in their relationship with a higher power. For me, I call it God. Whoever and whomever you are, I want people to feel connected to something bigger. And so I love having these conversations with people with different journeys. So I'll start with my first question, which I love to ask my guests, Linda. When you hear the word divinity or divine, what comes to mind for you?
I want to feel like it's hope and it's purpose and it's spirituality. So I've always said, like, I never really wanted to call it just one name because I feel like all religion should be all encompassing. So whatever you want to call it, whatever someone believes in, Buddhism or whatever, I feel like we're all trying to obtain the same thing, where we're all feeling, where we want to be in touch with something, a spirituality, a divine, your gut instinct, so your intuition, whatever it is. I feel like that's what divinity is. It's all of us. It's all encompassing. So I feel like it's a little bit of everything. And it's also like our purpose and of our authenticity. So if we can all be more authentic with our purpose and our intentions, and to be in a space of who we are, mind, body, and soul, if we can be connected, then we'll be able to be more authentic, sit here with you, and to be who we are. So then there's less conflict around in the world, know?
When were you, so I know your childhood. I know, a lot of your upbringing. Do you ever recall at an early age being connected to something higher than yourself? And if so, what was it?
I feel like when I was younger, I always had this like innate hope. I always knew that there was something better for me. So with my upbringing, like, it was very traumatic. I grew up in a very abusive, mentally, physically, sexually abusive home, where there was like, it's very militant. It was like a prison. And it happened, it was like majority of my childhood from age 5 to like sophomore in high school, like that constant abuse was always there. So, but I always knew that there was hope. So I just grasped onto that. So I just knew that there was something out there that was better for me. And there was definitely a different purpose for me, because I'm so thankful still to this day, where technically my dad tried to kill me at age like 5 years old, so there's a purpose for me to be here. And I feel like my purpose is now more to talk on these podcasts and to tell my story. So someone else who's listening to it and who knew me in high school would never have known that, oh my God, Linda went through such a traumatic childhood with all that abuse. And she came to school and just put a mask on and put this avatar on. Nobody would know that I was going through all of that stuff. So I want to be able to tell my story so other people would hear it and be like, well, she can go through all of that. then I can go through whatever struggles I'm going through as well.
You know, just, you know, I always get chills when I hear something. I'm sure my listeners and viewers are like, their mouths are wide open, like, what did she say? Like, how, oh my God, how, I know how, but like, what was the journey for you from 5 to now where you are to be able to open your mouth?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And talk the way that you're talking now.
Finally getting back to me, you know, my art. All I want to do is art. And the other thing is that I love stories. So like, to me, art isn't everything. Your art is your voice, your speaking, your connection. You know, you can feel everyone's energy. That's your art. It's the art of living to me. So art and hustle to me is the art of living and art of it and everything.
I hope that you've